Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Where's everybody today? Wow.
Lייb said he's here.
Lייb is here. That's what we need. By Rabbi Groskov, dear Rabbeinu Eli, every year during the winter and summer break in the UK, we run a sleep camp, a sleepaway camp for many special need kids. Incredibly, this year, just discovered the majority of the staff, including many Bachrim, are all members of your amazing group. Today, on the first day of step-by-step camp, we joined together to learn the shir together with you. Whilst you're scuba diving, these amazing carers who have given up their holidays, in parentheses, vacation, to look after special needs kids for 15 hours a day, tzaddikim, still have time for the daf. Kind regards, Mordechai Groskov, Rabbi Hager, and all of Camp Horizons Winter Camp 2021. Here they are, after 15 hours of work doing the daf. Mazel tov to Yankee Reichberg from Muncie, New York, who won't miss a day of learning the daf, even when his wife is having a baby momentarily. I guess this is in the hospital. Thursday night Chevra at 18 for Shea, going strong, Baruch Hashem. This is from Molandi's Chevra. Huge shout out to Shleima Goldenberg in Azik, Schwede, for cooking all the food every week. Chabur is growing, Baruch Hashem. What do we have here? Dear Belly, I very much enjoy learning Daf Yomi Megillah 3 Shiurim. I originally started watching that night, but found myself nodding off midway, only to get roused by "Have a wonderful day." So I decided I needed to learn early in the day while working out in our building's gym and replacing Judge Judy with Daf Yomi. Now I'm getting the real Yiddish workout. Thank you for making dafing so accessible, entertaining, and engaging for all of us. Lee Lowenstein. Here it is. I did many chazoras on Avodah Zarah on my treadmill. It's a great idea, seriously. If anybody wants to try it out, you don't go very fast. You do like 6-7 miles an hour. Keep in shape, lose weight, and do the daf, chazara. It's a great idea, I'm telling you. Huh? We're giving out treadmills. Whoever finishes Shas on the cruise. Chazara. There was a meme going around. Some people thought it was real. It's like, Shmuly Bornstein giving out a free shot to anybody who joins. You know, one of these. Okay, we got to step it up. Shmuly Pesach. First of all, I'd like to thank you for this great share. I'm a chussid. And trust me, it was hard. You don't have to blow out the chussid part. Nachamo. I'm a chussid. And trust me, it was hard with the different avira. Although, on the other hand, English is my primary language, used to instantly fall asleep on Yiddish shiurim as if it were melatonin. I'm about to make my second siyum. My first was a long time ago. Don't even remember which Masechta. Thanks, Mendy Greenblatt, F43, introducing me to the MDY Shir family. I haven't learned to listen to Shir with such enthusiasm. B112, my Shoimrim name. Gewaldig. Hillel Friedler, also known as Hillel Oakland. Where's Oakland again? My voice, I forgot where that is. Where? No, not Oakland. I think this is New Zealand. A-U-C-K land. Auckland. New Zealand. I'm not sure if you remember me, but I was shown on the shir towards the end of Rosh Hashanah, and I was named Hillel Auckland. Well, I'm proud to say that MDY Auckland branch is now doubled in size after getting my father to join MDY. It was a gratitude to Hashem with the help of our Maggid Shir Belly. Said my first Hadran and Siyum on Tainus. Kind regards, Hillel Auckland. Unbelievable. Hi, Eli Stefansky. My name is Miriam Rothenberg. I live in the Ramah. A week ago, I joined the shir live recently, and he says on the bottom, I apologize for saying, I asked him, you know, how was the shir? Fine, just fine. He said, I apologize for saying the shir last week was fine. Recently, I was asked, I would go bowling with my friends on a Matzah Shabbos tonight. This bothered me because I know I recently, I want to go to the Rav Shir. I waited an entire week to go to the shir, since I'm yeshiva all week. But on the other hand, I love bowling. I mean, we all do. Who doesn't? So by Shabbos, I really decided I'd go to the shir on Matzah Shabbos and not go bowling, because it's about the Yomi. Can't wait to shtay the daf with the Raveli. Meira, listen, I don't know. My son likes to play basketball. I don't encourage him to come to this year. Guys, the Bachram have to let it out a little bit. I'm not going to tell him not to go bowling. Was is das? Okay, this is a longer one, so we'll do this a different day. Rabbi Isai, the raffle for the Shas will be Be'ezra Hashem tomorrow. There's over 1,200 entries, because some people get doubles, triples, whatever. There's 1,200 entries. There's only 1,200 for a $2,000 Shas, full art school Shas. Be'ezra Hashem tomorrow. That also means that we're starting our next raffle for the next Shas, starting today or whenever. The next Masechta is kicking into high gear. We already got our Gemaras. The art schools are already here in Eretz Yisrael. So therefore, if you know of a yeshiva that wants to start the program or wants me to come talk to them, let me know. We could do that. If you want to take 5, 10 Gemaras because you're going somewhere and you know you could give them out, let us know. The sponsor for the Koilel HaChodesh is Chayim from Lakewood. Lilu nishmas Yisroel Goldstein הכהן ben Yosef Chayim. Refuah Tzididin Reb Shalom Baruch Yehuda ben Malka Fredo. Maseches Megillah is sponsored by the Davis and Kessler families and zechus Refuah shleima from Miriam Esther Bas Devora. Maseches Megillah Shmuly Hecht F245 Lilu nishmas Mordechai Shlomo פינחס Tovia Zechron Devora ben Abraham Moshe Peretz Neir Paras HaChodesh in honor of Arl 97 Akiva Tepper for introducing me to Rebelli's Daf. Paras HaChodesh Daniel and Cyril Cohen zechus for Refuah shleima for Gabriel ben Yomin ben Cyril Fruma. In loving memory of Esther Bas Simcha Bunim, Niftero Chavtes Tevis, Tavshin Pei Aleph, sponsored by her grandchildren, Gedalia and Simcha Frunenberger, SI 47. Benjamin Bodenheim, in honor of our miracle daughter, Hansi Eden Bodenheim. Related? How?
My wife's first cousin.
Your wife's first cousin?
Age 45.
What? Binyamin.
I married at 45 years old.
Yeah. And had a daughter.
I had a daughter.
Wow. Oh, that's what it's saying. Yeah. Wow. Choking you up. I'm choking you up.
Remember Omo lived downstairs?
Yeah. Wow. After Omo. May she continue to grow and thrive to bring us much nachas. Wow. Okay. Unbelievable. Yisroel Goldstein. And now my son Shimon's chalaka today. He should grow up to be a ISH EMES. With a love for Torah, by Chai Fix, Lili Nishmas, Nachman ben Chayim v'Tzipora, Yuda Chef. For the Chassan Adar, my son, his son's getting married. Moshe Ruvain and his Kala Chavi Esther Schwartz. May they be zechus to build a Beis in Israel. By Yossi Klein, in honor of his neighbor Moshe Reikin, a very happy birthday. He's a real daf guy and adds a lot of chiyus to our Muncie branch Siyumim. Mazel tov. And by Yisroel Shalitsky, Zech Nishmas, my grandmother, Chayleah Bas Moshe, and Yoel ben Yosef Zechroina Levrocho. And here we go, Rabbi Isai. Today is Daf Chof Aleph, 20 Daf. I still have a tear in my eye. Unbelievable. Okay, tears of Simcha. Chof Aleph, Amud Aleph. We are holding 8 lines down, believe it or not, but it's all easy. If you didn't do it, it's mamish. It's the same thing. How do we know that it's by the day? All these things in the Mishnah by the day. Another pasuk. Okay. We're holding Zeh Klal, Dover Shemitzvasi V'Yoyim Kosher Kol Hayoyim. So anytime the Mishnah tells us Zeh Klal, this is the rule. Zeh Klal Asuyimai. We already said 10 items. So then what do you have to say? This is the rule. Obviously, if it says this is the rule, it comes to add at least one thing. Lasuye Sidur Bazichon V'Siluk Bazichon. That in the Heichal, we had the Shulchan. The Shulchan contains all the lechem aponim, 12 loaves. There are also, if you look down here, 2 spoons. These are the bezichen. They are filled with frankincense in these spoons. So when they replace the breads on Shabbos, they take the frankincense and put it on the mizbeach. It's a ketara. So that's only done during the day. If you removed the older breads and the bezichin, the frankincense, and you replaced it at night, you're not over anything. In other words, you have the whole day to replace it. But it says that the bread should be there every moment of the day. Tamid. No. It means at night. Tamid means the bread should be there the entire night. but the time to replace it is during the day. You have all day. So if you remove the bread and the kohanim ate it, they divided the bread in the morning, you can go almost 12 hours without replacing it, according to Rabbi Yossi. Again, we have a rule. If the mitzvah is a night mitzvah, you could perform it all night long. What does it come to add? The carbon pesach. Would like Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah? The sanya of achos habasa b'layla hazeh. Omer Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah never come b'layla hazeh v'nemer la'alon v'avarti beretz Mitzrayim b'layla hazeh. Because Baruch is going to kill all the b'charim at Chatzois, exactly by Chatzois. In other words, man la'alon at Chatzois avkan at Chatzois. So Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah holds he should only eat the carbon pesach up until Chatzois. And the Mishnah is coming to tell us that you can eat it all the way to the morning. Says Tosfos, we don't pass like that. If you remember, afikomen and matzah, we only eat until Chatzois, like Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. But our Mishnah says differently. And with that, Hadran Allah HaKoyra L'Mafreya, Hadran Allah HaKoyra L'Mafreya, Hadran Allah HaKoyra L'Mafreya. Where is that sponsorship? Wow. It's a long one. I don't know about Peh. Oh, here it is. For this, I need a drink. Hold on. Latzlacha Ruchni. For Shimshon, David, Lipa, and Yosef Yehuda, and Yeshua, the sons of Yehuda's Bela. HaKoyreis HaMegillah Oymeid V'Yosef. If you want to read the Megillah while sitting, you may do so, says the Mishnah. Kira Echad, Kiru Shnayim Yatzu. So we have a concept in the whole Torah, Trei Kali Loy Mishtami. We already had it in this Masechta. You can't typically hear two sounds, two voices. However, when it comes to Kriyas HaMegillah, you do hear two sounds. At least you could hear one out of the two, or you hear two. Is that Laser up there? Hey, Laser, where were you? Get over here. Missed you, man. Okay. I thought you left us. So, what else do we learn in this Masechta? That because it's chaviv, because we love it so much, and it doesn't happen every day, it happens very, not often, how do you say not often? Infrequently. So therefore it's chaviv, and therefore you can hear even two koilos. Says Mendi Auerbach, hollow. Very good. What else? Besides Leibi, nobody can answer besides Leibi. No. What else? Shofar. It only happens once a year. So I have a chaviv. I could pick out the sound. I'm excited to hear it. So I come and okay. So Megillah is one of the three things that we learned. Megillah is I'm excited to hear it. It's once a year, twice a year. I can pick out the two voices. We're going to see in the Gemara what it means. You make a bracha on the Megillah. You don't make a bracha on the Megillah. The maskana is, of course, you have to make a bracha beforehand. But what the Mishnah is talking about is the final bracha. When you're done with the Megillah, as the Gemara is going to go into it, you don't have to say it if you don't want to. Now we're going into Kriyas HaTorah of the whole year. B'Sheni v'Chamishi, Moshe Rabbeinu was Mesaken Kriyas HaTorah on Shabbos and on Mondays and Thursdays. Not so much how to do it, but you should lay it on Sheni v'Chamishi. Also another halacha. Ezra is Mesaken the Psukim, the mount, but B'Shabbos b'Mincha, Ezra is Mesaken Mincha on Shabbos. That you'd say Kriyas HaTorah by Mincha. Chayrin Shloisha. So you have three people that come up, Kohen Levi Yisrael, three people. Ein Poichasim Mehen ve'ein Moisifan Aleyen. Now, you don't do two aliyahs on a Monday and a Thursday and on Shabbos afternoon, and you don't do four aliyahs. Why not four? So Rashi says very beautiful. He says people go to work on Mondays and Thursdays. People are busy. They're busy people. They need to get out there and make a living. And you're going to add another aliyah. Those 2 minutes are important. We care about people's time. So it's something to keep in mind. We care about people's time. We're always thinking about it. We don't want to be matriach the tzibur, whether it's the chazan waiting a long Shemona Esrei, these kind of things. We care about the tzibur. Another aliyah is going to bother the tzibur. What about Shabbos? So Shabbos, says Rashi, people are busy learning. There's drushes the whole Shabbos. They don't have time for another. They have to go home and eat. Ve'ein maftirin b'navi. And therefore, for the same reason, you don't add Torah on a Monday morning. People got to go to work. They're rushing. I mentioned this a number of times. I had I don't know if it's a zechus, whatever. I davened in a million in Chicago. It's probably still around. That people were in such a rush to get to work that Kriyas HaTorah was before Shacharis, when it was still dark. I've never seen it since. I'm sure there's other places in the world that do it. But that's how it is. You got to get to work. You don't get to work on time, you get fired. Huh? We're not going to go into it. Was on divan. That's all I can tell you. Ve'ein maftirin b'navi. Now, you don't have Torah because people don't have time. Now, this is interesting. If you don't look in Rashi, you can maybe perhaps read it the wrong way. What it says here is you have three people having aliyahs. So the Mishnah starts off, and we don't do this today, so we're not familiar with it. But the Mishnah is saying that the first person getting aliyah, the Kohen, let's call him, he says Baruch Hu, and he says the first bracha. He doesn't say the bracha after his aliyah. Then another guy comes up, a Levi. He doesn't say a word, nothing. He just stands there. The third one, the Yisroel, doesn't say anything, doesn't say Baruch Hu. When the aliyah is over, he says, he says the final bracha. So there's only two brachas. The guy in the beginning, the guy at the end. Sandwich. That's it. That's what the Mishnah says. That's how they used to do it in those days. The first guy that gets the aliyah, the last guy that gets aliyah, that person, it's a hard language. Like I would read it that when he starts off and when he finishes, he should make a bracha because that's what we're used to. But that's not what the Mishnah is saying. The first guy makes bracha number 1, and mevarach lefaneh ulachra, and the last guy makes the final bracha. Barashi chadashim Rosh Chodesh, which we have this week. By the way, I forget every time, so I'm going to say it now. Hopefully, I'll remember. Rosh Chodesh, which is happening when on Monday, tonight. There's a mitzvah to make a little bit of a su'udah. We spoke about it. I always forget to make the su'udah. So I'm saying it now, Barabba, maybe I'll remember myself. Somebody remind me tomorrow. Add a little bit, not a suda like wow, turkey and the whole. A little bit. If you usually eat bread and butter, add a pickle to it or something. I don't know. You add a little bit to the suda. Fine. A little wine maybe. Because it is a little bit of a yantif. Uba chayla shamayid and a chalamayid. You add. As the Gemara is going to explain, you make it a little different than a weekday. Kairin arba. That's why we have 4 aliyahs. Ein poichasim mehen ve'ein moisifim aleim. Again, Rosh Chodesh and Chalamayid, you don't do 3 aliyahs, you don't do 5. Don't be a big tzaddik. And the same reason. On Chalamayid, and certainly on Rosh Chodesh, you're allowed to go work, so people are still busy going to work. So you don't want to add another aliyah. But you have to add a 4th one because to make it special. Anyways, we're there a little extra for Musaf and Halal. And we certainly aim aftir and benavi. But also on Chalamayid, you're permitted, and this we spoke about many times. In America, they don't even know about this thing, so maybe we shouldn't say it. But it's mutter b'davar aved to go to work on Chalamayid. So since people go to work for davar aved, then we don't want to bother them with another aliyah. Says the Mishnah repeats itself. The first guy makes asher bachar banim mikol ha'amim. The last guy, the number 4, he says asher nasan lanu. Za'aklal. In other words, Rosh Chodesh and Chalamayid, which have Musaf, but they're not a Yantav, you get 4 aliyahs. B'Yantav, Chamisha. Yantav is 1 step up, they get 5 aliyahs. B'Yom HaKippurim, Shisha. Ayim Kippur, it's a step up of Yantav, Shisha. B'Shabbos, Shabbos is the holiest of the holy. We don't realize it because we have it every single week, but Shabbos is holier and in a bigger madrega than Yantif and Yom Kippur. So Shabbos has 7, and you don't add, and you don't take off. You do add, but you don't remove any. So you have to have at least 7 on Shabbos. But if you could do, you add like in a bar mitzvah, whatever you add. Aftirin b'navi, and you do make haftarah on these things, Yom Kippur, Yontif, Shabbos, and Navi. The same halacha. On Shabbos, imagine, one guy gets an aliyah in the beginning, the amount of fights, wow. I want to get that aliyah. Now there's 7 people get aliyahs and there's still fights and people still get insulted. One guy gets the bracha, first bracha, last guy gets the last bracha, and Shalom Yisrael. Says the Gemara.
So a person who's listening to the Kriyas Torah and no one could talk in the middle because they're all...
That's
it, in the whole shul.
You shouldn't talk anyways. Even
No, it's a hefsek.
Yeah. You're right. Good point. You're saying like, just like you're not supposed to talk. I don't know about Sfarad how it works, but Ashkenaz between Baruch Sha'amar and Yishtabach you can't talk because it's one long bracha. The beginning of Baruch Sha'amar. So he's saying that when a guy makes Asher Bachar Banu, the beginning of Kriyas Torah, and the guy at the end of Kriyas Torah, Asher Nasan Lanu. But I would imagine that it was very fast then, because there's no Misha Beirachs, no Baruchus, nothing. People got up, next. But you can't talk. He's right. L'chayr, you shouldn't be speaking anyways. People are going to write it. You're not allowed to speak during Kriyas Torah. Even Megillah Avrilgar, fine. But certainly, when it's a hefsek, you can understand it better when it's a hefsek. Says the Gemara, Tana Masha'enkim B'Torah, that when it comes to reading the Torah, the Balkairi cannot sit. So a few interesting halachas that are in the Shulchan Aruch and the Mishnah Berurah. The Ramah brings that the Gabbai also has to stand. So it says. Another thing is that you're not allowed to lean on the bima. To the point that if you lean on the bima, if I remove the bima and you fall down on your face, that's called leaning. You're not allowed to use it as support. You have to be standing straight. What's interesting is people might not realize this, and it's brought down over there in that halacha, is that the mapa, how do you say, not the broiches, the tablecloth, but isn't there a better word for that? The tablecloth, the bima cover has a lot of kedusha to it because it holds the Sefer Torah. So you're not allowed to use it for anything. So you shouldn't be putting your hands on it. You don't put a siddur down on it. You don't use it. Even the Navi says, Mendy, you shouldn't leave it on the bima. Now, under the cloth is less of a problem. If you need to like lean on something, you could pick up that cloth and put your hands down because that's a tashmish l'tashmish. It's one step removed. But the cloth itself, here unfortunately I took it home whatever. But we should get another one. But the cloth has such kedusha that you don't put your hand on it. You don't lean. You don't put your cup down on it. You don't do things like that. People might not realize that. Huh? No, then the plastic gets the kedusha. What's the difference? It doesn't matter what you put on it. Whatever the Sefer Torah touches is on. That's a tashmish kedusha. You can't use it for stam things. Okay. Minani mili. How do you know that you should not sit? You should not sit when you read the Torah. Omer vavo domakro. Va'ata poi amoidi modi. Here it is. I just wrote the whole pasuk because what's going on in this pasuk? Hashem says to Moshe, stand over here next to me. And I'm going to tell you the whole Torah. So he's teaching him Torah. He was reading the Torah, so to speak. He was the Balkaira to Moshe Rabbeinu. And they were standing. He says, look, stand with me. Okay. Interesting taisus here. He points out that the word ilmale, just if you want to be medactic, the word ilmale, if it ends off with the aleph, like it does here, it means if not. And ilmale with the yud sounds similar, but it means if yes. Okay, so here, ilmale mikra kosav, if not for the fact that the Torah said it specifically. Amoy poi, imadi. Hashem is saying, I'm standing with you. Hashem has feet. Hashem stands. It's hard to say it. So ilmale mikra kosav yeshal imran. We wouldn't say such a thing. Kaviyachal, avagosh baruch hu ba'amida. What does the word kaviyachal mean? We say it all the time. So Rashi says kaviyachal is a combination basically of 3 words. Ke ba'adam. I wrote kemoi ba'adam shiyachal. That's kaviyachal. Chaf is kemoi. Vez is ba'adam shiyachal. Like a human being that could stand. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, like a human being that could stand. HaKadosh Baruch Hu could stand, could sit, but he doesn't have feet. He doesn't have legs like that. So it's kaviyachal. it's a muscle it's only what we could grasp. We grasp standing, sitting. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu standing next to Moshe Rabbeinu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'amida. The Rebbe, how do you know the Rebbe shouldn't sit on a nice couch while his student is on the ground? Look at HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu teaches us how to act. He's together with the Talmud. He's not above him. He's not sitting while Moshe is standing. He's not sitting on a thing while Moshe is on the ground. Even playing field. The Rebbe and the Talmud, and we learn that from Hashem. You have to learn from Hashem's actions. Torah Mimos Moshe.
Says that you should sit at the feet of your teachers. Which says that you should sit in the dust of the feet of your teachers.
So you have to see what it means. Let's see weiter. Torah Mimos Moshe vad Rabbi Gamliel lehoyu lemedim Torah ela mu'umad. From Moshe Rabbeinu to Rabbi Gamliel, which is quite a long time, Klal Yisrael stood when they were learning Torah. People became weak, and they started learning Torah when they were sitting down. This covet that we gave the Torah that we stood is gone because we are weaker. And in a weakened state, we're not as strong as they used to be. So it's better for us to sit. We understand it better. Imagine we had to stand, it wouldn't go so well. Because of I'm thinking to myself now, imagine people were learning 12, 15 hours a day. That's a lot of standing. But there's no problem for them. They were different human beings. So we have a contradiction. One pasuk says, Va'eshev bahar. I'm sitting in the mountain. Because of I stood. Which one is it? What did Moshe Rabbeinu do? Did he sit? Did he stand? Omarav, Oymed, Veloymed, Yoshev, V'shayna. Yes, it depends. When he learned the first time with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so because of the covet of Hashem, he stood. But when he did Chazara, when he was learning by himself, Yoshev, V'shayna, he was sitting down. So, this pshat is, we have a number of pshatim. This pshat is, it depends when there was in front of Hashem or not in front of Hashem. Not in front of Hashem, you don't have to stand. It was in between. It could be called sitting, it could be called standing. I had a decent picture here. This might help a little bit to understand. Something like this. Maybe like a leaning on a shaycha on the stender kind of thing. It's nishtahin, yeah, you're asking it's something like this. I don't know what else it is. It's not sitting and it's not standing. It's an in-between thing. Now, he gets a lot of support from this. You take this out, he falls down. It's in between. Okay. Rabbi Chanina Omar. Yeah. Rabbi Yochanan Omar. Next pshat. Ein yeshiva ela lashon akava. Yeshiva doesn't mean to literally sit on your seat. It means to be delayed, to be at a certain place. Shenemar v'teishvu b'kodesh yom rabim. They were sitting in Kodesh. It's not. They weren't sitting. They were there. They were staying in Kodesh. Rav Omar. And another pshat. Rakois mu'umad. If it's easy learning, you're learning agadata, so you're chilling out, you're on a couch, listening, so you could sit. V'kashais, a tough sugya. Rakois, sorry. You're right. Rakois mu'umad. It's so easy, you could stand, it doesn't take away from anything. V'kashais, but when you have to concentrate, miyushav, then you sit. Bottom line is, there's a lot of back and forth, but play on words. He's saying Yishuv Adas. It means like when you want to concentrate, you want to figure something out, you need Yishuv Adas. You have to sit down and think about it. I hear? Very nice. Kriyas HaTorah, if you sit down, it comes out from the Paiskim that you're not even Yaitze B'di'evet. Because the Machlokes Rishonim how to learn. Does the Gemara mean L'chatchila, the Gemara mean B'di'evet? The bottom line is, at the end of the day, I think this is how they paskin that if you sit, if the Bakari decides to sit, even after the fact, you're not Yaitz. You have to repeat Kriyas HaTorah. The Shulchan Aruch says when it comes to Megillah, you should not sit. But the Mishmur says, the Bir Halacha says, you could actually lean on something. The Bakari could lean when it comes to Megillah. Daf Chof Aleph Amud Beis, sponsored by Aaron Stroke, in honor of my parents Josh and Naomi Stroke, and Lezech Nishmas Aaron and Shimon HaKohen. Sponsored in honor of me for all that I do. Yishkoyach. Tana. Mashe enkein bat Torah. When it comes to the Torah, you can't have two people laning. Only one person lanes. Now, this is a very important halacha. So I saw one of my good friends on Shabbos, and I wanted to go over to him and tell him a halacha that I thought maybe he doesn't know. I'm sure he knows, but whatever. Maybe he didn't realize. But I decided not to, and Baruch Hashem I didn't tell him, because I learned myself that I didn't know the halacha 100%. I think I was right in what I wanted to tell him, but it's deeper than that. So I'll just tell you this thing. Taisus points out over here, top Taisus, and I didn't learn the sugi yesterday, and it was beautiful. Just yesterday, I noticed this person doing this halacha. I told him before share I'm going to talk about it, so it's fine. I'm not going to tell you who it is. Akoponim. He lives in Ramat Bet Shemesh. No, it's not a big deal, but I think a lot of people don't know this halacha 100%. It's a very well-known halacha, but not 100% know it. So I'm going to say it. Taisus points out, only one person reads the Torah. Who's that person that reads the Torah? The Bal Korah. What about the guy that gets the aliyah? What does he do? He just sits there? So now, when I lived in Ramat Hanan, there was in the shul with Reb Zilberstein, there was 5 shuls, I think. It was Hasidim and Sfardim, and they had a Teimani shul, and every Teimani gets up and they read. Because every Teimani knows how to read. But Ashkenazim and Sfardim, Hasidim, they don't know how to read. They don't know, not everybody can get up and start learning his thing. So Taisus says, in order not to embarrass the guy getting up, one guy, the Bal Korah reads and finished, there's one Bal Korah. But what about the guy that gets the aliyah? So the Rosh says that the guy that gets aliyah, it's important to listen to this. The guy that gets aliyah must say the words. And if he doesn't say the words, he's making a bracha levatala, says the Rosh. Now, but Yosef says, I don't understand what the Rosh is talking about, because Shemei Ka'ina, he got up there and he's listening to the Bal Korah, and great. And then somebody says that there's a Zohar that says it's also to say the words. But we don't know where the Zohar is. Says Yosef, I found the Zohar and a Zohar. The bottom line is, from all this, comes out like this. La halacha, this is what they paskin. La halacha, you must say the words, you should say the words, but not loud enough that you could hear yourself. Don't say it loud that you could hear yourself. So, hey, you could, fine. So that's it. That's the bottom line here, I think. And I saw somebody that says that, but if you're saying the words and you can't even hear yourself, but how does that have to do with being mitzi? You just said made an aliyah, and you're not being mitzi, that's sibur. So why are you saying the words? You don't even hear yourself. He says you're saying the bracha on Birkas HaTorah. You're learning now. That's what you're doing. That's how they explain. Anyways, so if it comes out something good from this, that people should realize that when you get aliyah, don't sit still with your mouth closed, because that could be a problem of maybe making a bracha levatala, and you should at least do it with your mouth, not loud enough to disturb. Sometimes you have a guy that gets aliyah and he's louder than the Bal Korah. That's a big no-no. Says Menachem Aten knows what I'm talking about. You know those guys. All of a sudden, in the middle of Kriyas Torah, you hear a guy go, ah! It's Menachem Aten, give me a whack. Okay, fine. No, did I skip? Here we go. When you lane, one reads, one person repeats. In those days, they would repeat it in Aramaic. And it's very important, says Rashi, and it's only one person. Don't have two people saying the Targum, because we learn a lot from the Targum. We understand. Imagine if we're in America, in England, and the guy, the Bal Korah says a few psukim, we have no idea what's going on, and the guy stops and he repeats it in English. So it's very important to understand the English, to hear the English. If two people are saying the English, what good is it? You want to hear what he's saying, the words that come out. So in those days, it wasn't English, it was Aramaic. Even the Targum is important to hear. I thought when I was reading it, because Targum was like Halacha Moshe Sinai. No, Rashi says, on a practical level, we want to understand. We read the Targum so you understand. So two people saying it is going to ruin it. But when it comes to Navi, one person reads the Haftarah, and two people, because it's not so important to understand what's going on, the halachas and this and that. So two people, if they want to read two people together, it's fine. But we cannot have two people reading the actual Navi. Ubahalel, ubemegillah, afilu asara koirin. Rashi takes out the words vasara metargimim because Rashi says there's no targum on ksuvim, on Megillah. And Tosfos says not true. Yes, there's no Yonis and Ben Uziel, but there is a targum that was made by the Tanoim. So maybe that's why the Gemara said it. Akobanim, when it comes to Halal Megillah, because there's no trei kol lemishtami, people are excited about hearing the Megillah, so you can have even 10 people reading the Megillah in Yud Yaitza. My taima, kivin the chaviva, yahavid atayu v'shamei, and you put your mind to it, and you're able to pick out the sounds, and very good. The bottom line is, why is it chaviv? Again, because it's something that you only do once a year, once a month, halal once a month, something that you do every week, like Shabbos. People are mizalzel. They don't realize the kedusha of Shabbos. They don't realize that they think Sukkot is more important than Shabbos because it happens. It's not true. Shabbos is more important than Sukkot. But it happens every day. Daf Yomi every day. You get used to it. But it's unbelievable. It's our life. So now Abaya explains the Mishnah. What does it mean if you want to make a bracha, you can make a bracha, you don't make a bracha, you do make a bracha, so you make a bracha on the Megillah, you don't. This whole Mishnah is talking about the bracha after the Megillah. You must make a bracha before you read the Megillah. The Amar Rav Yehuda Shmuel. Kol ha-mitzvah kulon mivarach aleim oiver la'asiyasa. We had this sugya a bunch of times already, literally word for word. Oiver la'asiyasa means you must make the bracha prior to performing the mitzvah. What's a good example? Let's say washing your hands for bread. So you wash your hands, and before you dry off your hands with a towel, you must make the bracha. Why? Because the bracha comes before the mitzvah. And once your hands are dry, the mitzvah is over. Another example. So again, you wash your hands, you make the bracha, then you dry your hands. Oiver la'asiyasan. The bracha comes before. Another famous example is every day, tefillin. So what you do is you put your tefillin on your muscle over here, but before you tighten the strap, you make the bracha. Because tightening the strap is the mitzvah. So you make oiver, you make the bracha before the asiyah. So too, you make a bracha before you read the Megillah. And the Gemara says what the Gemara says all over Shas. What's this lashon oiver? Oiver la'asiyasan. Oiver means before, but how do I know it? Omer Rav Nachman bar Yitzchok Omakro vayoretz achimat derech hakikar. What happened over there was that it's a very unfortunate story. Avshalom was fighting with his own father David, and he was riding his mule, and his hair got caught in the branch, and he died. His mule kept on going. War was over. They destroyed them. 20,000 people they destroyed, and the head guy Avshalom, the one that started the whole thing, he's dead. It's a big simcha. He's dead. But on the other hand, it's a terrible tragedy. It's his own son that died. What are you going to tell him? Oh, it's geschmack. We killed the guy. It's your son. So Achimatz wanted to run and tell David. He's running there to tell David. And he tells, no, don't say, do say. And the Kushi went, he ran to tell him. And then he decided, Achimatz went, I want to say the news, and he beat him to it. Vayaver Sakushi. Vayaver Achimatz der Chakikor. Vayaver Sakushi. And he went ahead of the Kushi, and he told David the news. So Vayaver means before, do it before. I have another pshat. Yaakov Avinu went in front of his whole family when he went to greet Esav. So Avar means go in front of, before. So once again, Vayaver is before. So the Rishonim, a bunch of Rishonim talk about this. If the word Vayaver means before, so say before. There's another word in Hebrew called Kaidem. Kaidem, the mitzvah, make a bracha. What's Vayaver? So they explain that Vayaver is immediate. There's Kaidem before. It could be 6 hours before. And Vayaver comes to say it must be right now. You make the bracha and then you strap. You don't talk to your friend. You don't do your other things. You make a bracha and you pull down the strap. You make the bracha and you wipe your hands. It's vayavar. It's right away. Says the Gemara. What is the bracha Rav Sheshes Mikat Razio? I think it's the only time in Shas. Ikla l'kamed Ravashi uborach manach. He made the bracha 3 brachas, and that's what we do today. Megillah, Megillah, Nun, Nisim Laboiseinu, and Shechiyonu. 3 brachas. Lachareh my mevarach. What do you say afterwards? Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam. Harav es rivenu. Hashem fights our fights. V'hadon es dinenu, and He judges our dinim. V'hanoikim es nikmoseinu, and He takes revenge for where He needs to take revenge. V'hanifra lanu, and He pays back mitzoreinu. V'hameshalim gmul l'chol oivei nafsheinu, and He pays gmul. I don't know the exact difference between nifra and gmul. Okay, there's different. Maybe one He pays back monetarily and physically, and I don't know. V'hameshalim gmul l'chol oivei nafsheinu. Baruch atah Hashem hanifra Yisroel. We say la'amoy, and on the side here it brings here that there's another girsa that we la'amoy, and in fact that's what we do. Hanifra la'amoy Yisroel mikol tzarayim. Hashem pays back for all their tzar. Rava Omar hokel hamoishia. He's Hashem that's going to redeem us. Geula. Omar apapa hilkoch nimrinu l'tarvayu. Since we have a machlokes here, let's combine them. What do? Baruch atah Hashem hanifra Yisroel mikol tzarayim hokel hamoishia. That's what we do today. Unfortunately, I don't have a great memory. I remember saying this, so if anybody has what to add, please. I don't remember it completely. But there's a beautiful thing here. The Rav Papa, throughout Shas, that's 10 times. And that's why, when we make a siyum, we say, Roim Papa, Nachman Papa, Roim Papa, Achab Papa, Suchab Papa, Mori Papa, Dori Papa, Rafam Papa. I said that one already. Mori, Rochish.
Good. Yeah.
10. Why 10? And why him? Why not say Rabbi Yochanan's 10 sons that were nifter? He's the one that makes peace. All over Shas. I looked it up. I only found like 3-4 times. But apparently 10 times in Shas, and one time was a little different. I remember something. And this is it. We have a machlokes here. She said, let's say both of them. And because he makes peace, he brings peace. And that's the end of what we say. In the siyum, it's about peace. Shalom. So we put Rav Papa in there. Hilkach, Amar Rav Papa, Hilkach Nemrino L'Tarvayu. Rav Papa, by the way, one of the things when I looked up, it was very interesting, because yesterday we came out of Mincha, and there's a beautiful rainbow, and people saying, are you allowed to say it's beautiful? What do you do? But you have to make a bracha, right then and there. What's the bracha? That's one of the things that Rav Papa says. Hilkach Nemrino L'Tarvayu. I had no idea what it was. Baruch Hashem, there's people there. What? Zoichar bris, v'nemam bebrisoi, v'kayim la'ad, v'kayim b'mamoroi. Okay, whatever. I'm not going to remember it next time. Hopefully I'll be with somebody. But a lot of people don't know what to do. They're like, wow, they're beautiful there. Look at that. It was probably the nicest one I've ever seen. It was the full circle. It went from top to, it wasn't like just all the way around. Crazy. Okay, it's a simon of bad stuff. I get it. But you still make a bracha. So, never brisa, but that's Rav Papa. Says the Gemara, B'sheni b'chamishi b'Shabbos, b'mincha koyim shloisha. Oy vey, where do we get? Oy vey. Hani shloisha. Why 3? Omer Rav Asi keneged Torah Nevi'im Ksuvim. We have 3 aliyahs to represent Torah Nevi'im Ksuvim. Rav Alma keneged Kohanim Levim Yisraelim. El Hadatani Rav Shimi ein pachas miyud psukim bebeis hakneses. You never have less than 10 psukim. What is the one time Taisus brings down? The one time of the year we don't have 10 psukim is on Purim. The parsha of Amalek, and Taisus explains because that's it. That's the whole parsha. You can't add it not. Hana Asar connected me. Why is there 10? Oh, Rabbi Shua ben Levi. What? Oh, I missed that. Vayidaber, says the Gemara, Vayidaber oilam min aminyan. Even though it's just a simple pasuk, Vayidaber Hashem al Moshe Lemor, it's nothing really, doesn't have any juice to it, but it's one of the 10. Hana Asar connected me. Rabbi Shua ben Levi connected Asar bat lanim shebei sakneses. We had it. Every city should have 10 people that could fill in for a minyan. Rabbi Yosef Amar connected Asar sadibros. Shenemer lo Moshe b'Sinai. Then we skip this. Rabbi Levi Omar connected Asar ilulim shem Davis Sefer Tilim. I put it down here. It says in the pasuk Vayomer Elikim, the first parasha, the first prakim, I think it's even all in the first parak. Yihiyar, Vayomer Elikim Yar, Vayomer Elikim Yerikia, Vayomer Elikim Yikavama, Vayomer Elikim Tachiyar, Vayomer Elikim Yomars, all this, Vayomer Elikim Hinei Nosati. But that's 9. There's 10 Mamoris. Hashem created it with saying the words. Hey Nino Vayomer the Bereshis, Sanitishanino, the Vayomer, you see, Vayomer Elikim of Parshas Bereshis, it's 9. What do you do? Bereshis Nami Maimeru. The first pasuk in the Torah is Bereshis Bar Elikim. It's a Shemayim V'Zar. Hashem created the heaven and earth with what? With his mouth, by saying it, with a maimer. The Shemayim became what? B'dvar Hashem, with the word of Hashem. Omar Rava. Rishon shekara arba meshubach, sheni shekara arba meshubach, shlishi shekara arba meshubach. It doesn't matter if you have 10 psukim. Obviously, one aliyah is going to be longer. Where do you put that longer aliyah? You can put it in the beginning, you can put it in the end, you can put it in the middle. Rabbi said, which aliyah is the most chashav aliyah? Which aliyah? You know which one? The one that you get. The one that you think in your mind is the best aliyah. That's the best aliyah. Because if you start krachting, I didn't get shlishi, I didn't get mafter. So I'm here in the shul for 6 years and nobody ever gave me mafter. That's in your head. It's whatever you think is good. That's a good aliyah. I'm serious. Rishon shekar Hashem dal meshubach v'snan b'sholosh kupay shesholosh soyin shebehem torah misalishka. My favorite Maseches Shkalim. They used to take a machzah shekel, pile it up 3 times a year. They would take 3 boxes and fill up the box and buy with that korbanos. But which box would they use first? From the 3. They did it within a minute. Boop, boop, boop. The first box. This is just from Maseches Shkalim. Then they put like something down and then they would pile up the shkalim on top of that. Everything below it was the extra shkalim. Okay. I'm kidding about that. My favorite Maseches Yoma so far. Shkalim. Okay. Aleph, Beis, Gimel. Each box had a letter. 1, 2, and 3. Aleph, Beis, Gimel. So you see there's an inyan, a bachar, number 1. There's something important about 1. Shemitzvah Berisha. Emtsai. Now, if you're a middle child, don't feel bad. There's something special about the middle. Real quickly, I know we ran out of time here, but this is Kodesh HaKadoshim. According to the Man Omar, the menorah went this way, like this. One Man Omar says it goes like this, and one Man Omar says it goes like this. But let's say it goes from Safan to Darim, north to south. So if you look closely over here, this center one, the wick is pointing this way, Ma'ariv, towards the Kodesh HaKadoshim. All the other wicks are on the other side of the bowl here, pointing to the center. So you see that the center is very special. The middle one is towards the Kodesh HaKadoshim. So you see that the middle one is the best. Just one more line. And if the last one has the 4 psukim, it's great. You go upwards in Kedusha, you don't go downwards. He was the first aliyah and he read 4. And Rav Papa said it was great. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.